All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the September 14, 2017 special meeting of the Plaquemines Parish, Port Harbor Internal District to order at 1 o'clock. Let the record reflect that all 9 council members are present. Ms. Clerk will move to item 1, please. If you would please stand for prayer. Reverend Giles, if you would lead us in prayer, sir.
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Our Father, we do thank you as always for your grace and your mercy and your loving kindness. As we come, Lord God, we pray that you will continue to lead, guide, and direct us in the ways of mercy. We pray for our council as a whole. We pray for our parish president and those who have taken the time to come on, Lord God, our concerns. Now lead us and guide us, Lord God, and give us your grace and your mercy, and we'll forever give your name the praise, the honor, and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the pledge.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend. We'll move to item 2, executive session.
Receipt of attorney-client privilege communications in regard to a contractor with the port. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Mr. Bartholomew offers. I'll second.
Receipt of attorney-client privilege communications in regard to a contractor with the port.
Machine is open. Let the record reflect that we have 8 yeas. A little technical difficulties, so Mr. Bartholomew, verbal, yes?
Yes.
We have 9 yes votes. It passes. We will recess for executive session. I can call the meeting back to order at 1:25 from executive session. No items to come from that. To move on. I'd like to move to item 3, status report by the executive report director. General Sanders, hold on 1 second. All right, sir, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board. I am Sandy Sanders, the Executive Director of Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District. I only have one item during this short reporting period, which is the Constitutional Amendment number 1. You have a flyer in front of you. There were a series of meetings put on yesterday by the Louisiana Energy Export Association, which is the new voice of Louisiana's growing LNG export industry. They also had a reception last evening, for decades, all construction projects in the state, from be it a new house build to a refinery, were exempt from property taxes until that project was complete. There was a move to tax an LNG plant in a neighboring parish during construction, which has brought on a lot of consternation through the citizens throughout the state. So this amendment right here, which is the Constitutional Amendment number 1, it codifies in the Constitution the practice that's been going on for decades. And that is, it recognizes that a construction job should be exempt from those taxes until the construction project is complete. There is an ordinance or resolution today before the board, by the board, to support this action. Mr. Chairman, subject to your questions, this completes my report.
Thank you, General Sanders. Thank you, General Sanders. Before I move on your report, I would like to bring up Mr. Eric Sundstrom to further elaborate a little bit on Constitutional Amendment number 1, in which I'm going to introduce the resolution today to support. So, Eric, if you could just fill us in on exactly what this amendment entails and the process.
I think Mr. Sanders hit just about all the high points. The one thing that I did want to point out was that the materials for the construction are still taxed relative to sales tax. So you won't be losing out on any local sales taxes in that aspect. But other than that, the flyer that he read from was pretty spot on. If I could also let y'all know, earlier this week I sent out an email from PAR, the Public Affairs Research Council, that did a nonpartisan breakdown, pro and con, of the 3 constitutional amendments that will be on the ballot October 14th. Early voting for that starts September 30th and runs through the following Saturday. And the election, as I said, is October 14th. That'll be for state treasurer and the 3 constitutional amendments.
All right, Mr. Sundstrom. Thank you. I see Mr. Russo's comment.
Yes, sir.
Yes, just to follow up on it. So it's my understanding that this will prohibit the assessors from putting anything on the tax rolls for property taxes to be able to collect before.
On projects under construction, as I understand it. Yes, sir.
So, in other words, for instance, it was used as an example as a house. A house doesn't go on a tax roll until the end of the year when it's finished. And so this is similar, and it's my understanding also that we don't do that now anyway.
That's the way I understand it. Yes, sir.
So we're not really losing anything, we're just making something prohibitive for an aggressive individual
Codifying into the
that want to do that.
Constitution. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sundstrom. I see no more comments from the table. Any comments from the audience? All right, with none, thank you, Eric. I appreciate you coming in.
Sir.
With none, we'll move to item 4, bids and advertisements. We have none. Item 5, introductions of ordinance and resolutions. Mr. Edgecombe.
An ordinance of the Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District to direct that all meetings of the Plaquemines Parish Council be conducted in the council chambers in Building 203 at 333 F. Edward Aver Boulevard in Belle Chase, Louisiana, until such time as the construction of meeting space in Point Lahash has been completed, and to provide for related matters.
All right, I have quite a few. A resolution supporting the passage of the Louisiana State Constitutional Amendment number 1, ballot initial on October 14th, 2017. A resolution providing for the execution of an agreement between the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District and the owners of the $9,500,000 Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District Taxable Limited Tax Revenue Bonds, Series 2013, the bonds relating to the reduction of the millage of securing the bonds and providing for other matters with respect thereto. An ordinance providing authority, the constitution of the levy and collection of the ad valorem tax of 3 mills on the property subject to Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District, the district as authorized by Chapter 8, Title 34 of Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, and other constitutional and statutory authority as applicable to be dedicated and used for all lawful purposes by the district, including but not limited to the acquisition of movable property and the construction of capital improvements and otherwise providing respect thereto. A resolution electing the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District Chairperson 2018 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution electing the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District Vice Chairperson for 2018 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution appointing the members of the Port Committee of the Plaquemines Parish Council for 2018 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution establishing the date and time of public hearings on the proposed 2018 operating budget and capital improvement budget as submitted by the Executive Director of the Platinum Port Harbor and Terminal District, to authorize the Council Secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Platinum Gazette and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to fund classified positions for the Platinum Port Harbor and Terminal District approved by the Civil Service Commission on August 3rd, 2017, reallocating several classifications and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 07102 adopted May 10th, 2007 to establish and initiate the collection of the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor and Terminal District security fees, security surcharges, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And Madam Secretary, that's all I have. We will move to item 6A, please.
A resolution authorizing the Executive Director, Maynard Sandy Sanders, to negotiate and enter into an agreement with Mercury Public Affairs to provide consulting, advisory, and lobbying services regarding port representation at the federal level and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Roussel.
Mr. Russo, you offer? Second by Mr. Byrd. Mr. Russo?
Yes, what this does is it provides us with a voice in Washington from the Mercury Group. As you know, in the past we've had a consultant, and I think that we should move from consultant to a true registered lobbyist to be able to give us a bigger voice and have more input. And so that's why I offer this to act as director to negotiate the contract.
Do we have any comments? I see none from the table, any from the audience. With none, we will move to a vote on item 6A. We have one vote. Madam Secretary. Mr. Bartholomew, you going to verbal yes?
No, I voted yes on it.
Okay. Let the record reflect that the resolution passes 9-0. Thank you, Mr. Bartholomew.
Yes.
Item 6B, please.
A resolution to cancel on November 23rd, 2017 and December 28th, 2017 regularly scheduled board meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, and to schedule a special board meeting on November 9th, 2017 and December 14th, 2017, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Black.
I'll offer and seconded by Mr. Lapine. This is basically to stay in line with the council meetings. We will not have a council meeting due to Thanksgiving and Christmas. Therefore, we'll not have a board meeting, and we're going to move those board meetings up to the second week of November and then the second week of December. No questions from the table. Any questions from the audience? Comments? With none, we'll move on. 1 second.
Yeah, I have a problem with canceling the meeting, but you know when they had the budget review a couple of weeks ago, you guys make $35,000 a year. You only meet twice a month, so that'll be 22 times you meet, and that's averaging almost $3,000 a month. And now you're gonna delete 2 meetings. That's what becomes like $36,000 or $3,600. I think the taxpayers getting robbed. I really do. You know, it's a part-time deal, and I really do believe the taxpayers not getting their money worth. You know, you was elected to work for the people. You don't need two meetings off. You really don't. You really don't need 2 weeks off.
Mr. Henry, let me just clarify real quick. The port only meets once a...
That goes for a council too, even though it's not a council meeting, but it goes for a council too. Save my breath on that one.
All right, well, let me just go back to the board real quick, Mr. Henry, give me an opportunity to just explain. That's an item that you need to address at the council meeting. I understand your concern, but the board is actually not canceling any meetings. The board is scheduled to have one meeting a month. We're actually going to continue to have one meeting a month. We're just moving those 2 meetings earlier in the month, that's all. So I would ask you to reserve your comments at the regular council, for the regular council meeting, and then we can discuss it then.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, with any other comments? No other comments, we'll move for a vote, please, on 6B. Let the record reflect that the resolution passes 9-0. All right, we'll move to item 6C.
A resolution authorizing Maynard Sandy Sanders as Executive Director of the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District to extend the current consulting agreement with Ladder and Bloom and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Black.
I'll offer. Mr. Lapine seconds. Basically, this is an extension of the contract that we currently have for Ladder and Bloom. Let me move to General Sanders if you want to, or you all want to discuss a little bit about what this is about. It's on. It's on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have used Ladder and Bloom, which are real estate consultants, for all of our real estate needs here in the parish. They've done a very good job for us. They're very in tune with the property down here on the lower Mississippi River. They've been very nimble as far as when we have potential clients come in and want to locate a business for us. They have been able to show different designs based on the water depth that's needed, the number of acreage that's needed, and also its proximity to feedstock pipelines. We're very happy with the arrangement and would like to continue this consulting agreement.
This is a one-year agreement that ends September 10th, 2018. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is the total amount? Is it an uncapped amount or?
It's an hourly amount.
Okay. Is it cap set on the contract or no?
No, sir.
All right.
It's as needed.
Okay. Mr. Russo?
Yes, under item paragraph G on the scope of work, I would request that those monthly status reports be provided to the board.
Yeah, that's the email my office sent to you, Mr. Nielsen, about those reports. I thank you for the report that you gave us, but we're looking for clarity on item G. So if you get that to us, we'll then put it in the share folder for everyone to view.
Got it.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? I see none from the table. Any from the audience? With none, we'll open the machine for a vote on item 6C. Let the record reflect that 6C passes, the resolution passes 9-0. Item 6D, please.
An ordinance to amend the Plaquemines Parish Port Harbor Terminal District 2017 operating budget of revenue and expenditures and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Black.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Mr. Edgecombe seconds. This is basically the health insurance for new employees and adding new employees to the health insurance policy.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other? Any questions from the table? I see none. Any questions from the audience on this? With none, we'll open the machine for a vote on item 6D. 6D passes 9-0. Item 6E, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District Executive Director Maynard J. Sandy Sanders to enter the First Amendment to the option to lease agreement as set forth in the attached Exhibit A. Councilmember Black.
I'll offer and ask for a second. Mr. Lapine seconds. Let me open this up. We had a couple of meetings over the last few weeks. I called one meeting and had the port's attorney, we had a couple of council members in the administration, Executive Director Sanders and Paul Matthews, as well as their staff in on these meetings. Let me just give you a summary of really what is going on with this. Basically, what this amendment to the contract does is Venture Global is granted 2 additional annual option extensions at $2 million each year exercise, and that's on page 2 and 3. Venture Global has advised it is seeking to avoid having current option extensions run out before the final further approval. So this is very advantageous to both sides. It keeps Venture Global working towards getting a long-term lease and fairly compensates the port for any extensions needed by Venture Global. Second item is parcel 3 is being redefined to drop off from its definition, which is track H, lots 57B, 8B, and 60B, as well as to clarify that track B2 is not part of parcel 3, which is on page 3. This is also very advantageous to the port. The third item is the port will have a good opportunity to access the $10 million which VG has paid and which is currently in a lockbox. That's on page 3 and 4. And unavailable to the port at this time. With approval by the council of the amendment, the port can, absent any outstanding defaults by the port, use $10 million towards parts of parcel 3 it has already purchased, meaning as you refer to the Terry White portions, which will fall within the definition then of parcel 3. And then track B1, expropriate property, and also towards acquiring track B3. Therefore, it appears that there will be a very good chance for the port to access well over $7 million of the $10 million currently in the lockbox. This potentially is extremely advantageous to the port. Item 4, Venture Global does not make another advance rent payment until the port acquires all of parcel 3, meaning now track B3, since that will be the only piece the port still needs to acquire. And that's on page 4 of your packet. This is also advantageous. This is advantageous to Venture Global, but not overly so, since the port has been unable to access the funds. Item 5, and the final item that it changes is, if the port fails to acquire all of parcel 3 before Venture Global is ready to enter a lease, Venture Global has an option to lease for up to 5 years a laydown area of approximately 80 acres located within parcel 3 and adjacent to parcel 2, so that they can place their building materials next to the footprint of parcel 2. They will have to build then. That's on pages 4 and 5. This only comes into play in the event that the port does not acquire all of parcel 3, which is on page 5 of your packet. This is very advantageous to Venture Global, but again, not overly so, since once the port acquires track B3, this part of the amendment will be of no effect. So that's pretty much, I've asked them to give it to us in layman's terms, and that's about as clear as we can get it. I will open up for any questions. I have no more comments. I see none from the table. Are there any other comments or questions from the audience? Mr. President.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking at page 3 of the document. Under amendments, I think 1, I guess it would be G, and then small I. Just had a question about, I still see the use of the terminology advance rent payment or payments. This is an option, and would this provision kick in after the lease is signed? We actually have an actual contracted lease?
Mr. Rathburn.
Thank you, Mr. Black. There are 2 aspects to the contract. One is the option, which is paid annually regardless, as long as the option agreement is in effect. The advance rent payments are made and have been made annually, but they've been placed into a security interest agreement that the port cannot access. It's been a $5 million a year payment. So right now, it's at $10 million. The payment of the advance rent, not the options. The options will continue to be paid as long as they want to have an agreement with the port. Now at $2 million annually. But the advance payment, the next advance payment will not be paid until the acquisition, as Mr. Black mentioned, of all of parcel 3. The ones, in other words, they get to suspend further payment of advance rents only until acquisition entirely of parcel 3.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rathburn. President Farmer.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, with no other comments, any other comments from the audience? With none, we'll move to a vote on item 6E. Waiting for one more. Let the record reflect that ordinance 6E passes 9-0. We will move to item 6F. Mr. Rathburn, hold on. Yeah, we're going to need you for this one.
Okay, sorry.
An ordinance to amend the 2017 Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District 5-year capital improvement budget and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Black.
I offer. Ask for a second. Mr. Edgecombe seconds. Basically, this is what we came out of executive session from the last time in reference to property known as B1 in the expropriation. It is an appropriation of $580,000 for that property as opposed to $530,000. Mr. Rathburn, you want to give us an update on where we are with the litigation with that if you can? If not, let me know.
Yes, sir. No,
Okay.
I certainly can. Last week, we were able to withdraw the funds that had been placed into the court's coffers as pursuant to the settlement agreement we reached with the Wilhoffs. So the court ordered, and we did withdraw those funds, and those funds are now going towards the Wilhoffs and the payment of the mortgage they had on that property. But the port owns that property.
Okay. And this is just the appropriation of funds, and after this, we're done. B1 is ours.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm sure Metro Global will be very happy, and I know we are as well. So.
Yes, sir. They were.
Thank you, Mr. Rathburn. Mr. Edgecombe, you have a comment? That's okay. I'm getting used to this new card here. Any other comments from the audience? With no comments from the audience, we will move for a vote on 6F. Let the record reflect that 6F ordinance passes 9-0. I will withdraw 6G. I will defer 6H. We'll move to item 6I.
A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor Terminal District Administration to exceed the cap established for professional services with Dwyer, Cambry, and Suffolk for legal services and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Black.
I'm going to offer, Mr. Lapine seconds, I'm going to ask the port to consider an amendment to this. I would like to put enough money in on item give me one second. Are you trying to raise, I know it's budgeted in the 2017 budget, so we have enough money to cover within the budget, and we did put a cap, that way it has to come back to the council every time. I don't want to give enough money, I want to get enough money to legal services to get us through 2017, and then I want to allow the new committee and the new chairman to then come back and make a decision on what to do in 18. So come up with another number, and I'll have Mr. Lapine remove the second. I'll come up with an amendment or change to the line item. Is that fine? Is there any objection to that from you guys? Hold on a second. All right.
These figures are reflected to the end of the year. That is how I planned it and budgeted, because Mr. Sanders did request that it's only for the amount that's needed to December. And after doing some talking amongst the staff and regarding any upcoming events, this is the budget that we came up with to get us through the rest of the year.
All right, so 10,000 for general and 40 for land acquisition?
Yes.
Okay. If you're saying that that's what you need to the end of the year, that's already been budgeted in the 2017 budget, correct?
Correct, we're way under budget.
Okay. How much do you think you're going to be under budget for 2017? Do you know offhand? Just out of curiosity.
In the general department, we have about $93,000 left in the budget. That's just in the general department that I'm requesting an additional 10 for.
Okay.
In the land budget, there's $108,000 left in our budget.
Well, I would commend you on the good work of being fiscally responsible and staying within that budget. With that, I will, Mr. Russo has a comment. Mr. Russo?
You know, this item, as you know, I continuously vote no on it because the cap means nothing. The last time we were here, not in this building, but at this meeting and issue, we were talking about this was going to be it, and we weren't going to go any further. We weren't going to increase the cap. So, you know, to be consistent, you know, we need to stay within the bounds, and without getting into the details of why we're exceeding the cap, it's hard for me to vote for this. For clarification, the $93,000 balance in general, is that before or after the $10,000? And the $108,000 balance in land after the $40,000, is that before or after this?
Oh. Good.
That's considering our actual expenses to date. So we haven't spent the $10,000 that we're asking for, and we haven't spent the $40,000 that we're asking for. And that reflects all the bills up to July. So I do have August bills that have not been posted. They're actually being processed this week to be posted, but I do have the amount that that we were charged for August's bills.
So I guess a better way for me to ask this question is that you gave us a balance of $108,000 for land. After this appropriation of $40,000, will that balance be $108,000 or be $40,000 less?
It will be, for August, we were billed.
No, basically what he's saying is you gave us a balance of $108,000.
Yes, the
Will the
100.
balance after this be then $68,000, or will it be $108,000 after the appropriation of the $40,000?
After the two. No, it doesn't include the 10. It hasn't been spent. That's what's left in the budget.
Okay, so theoretically, at the end of the year, we could have $68,000, not
Right.
$108,000.
Right.
That's your question, Ms. Russo?
Yes.
All right. And I just want to clarify too, the cap is in order for them to come back and ask us for more money. I understand that they have told us they may not need to. I don't think there's a guarantee that they wouldn't need to. The money was budgeted, obviously, in the 2000.
The money was budgeted, and I agree with Commissioner Salvant, said that when we go into budget this year, we really need to dig down into this because we do come back. We do go over the cap. I can't stop work, and we can't have the tail wagging the dog.
Right, but the cap to me is set so you can come back and
Yes,
ask
sir.
for money. That way we can understand exactly where the money went. Not so much of, hey, you only have $50,000 to spend, but if you spend it, then you come back to us and, beg for more money. But that's how I see it. So I don't have any other comments. I will open it up to the floor if anybody has any comments from the audience or questions. All right, I see none. We will move to the vote on item 6I. That's too late, huh? Okay. And the item, resolution 6I, passes 7-2 with the 2 nays from District 4 and District 5. All right, item 7A, we have none, so we'll move to item 7B.
Update on Dow Court Health Concern, Councilmember Black.
Okay, we appreciate all the work that has been done. I know at the last council meeting in Fort Salford, we asked support by a resolution that of suspension of the rules to take the lead on this issue, which you guys have done. You guys have done a great job. I know you have kept the council apprised of everything that has happened along the way. I'll turn it over to you, Paul, if you want to give us a briefing on what has been done since that council meeting and where we stand now.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we had that court meeting, what has happened, and I've also sent to every commissioner and secretary a report on updates. Email was sent out for August 25th and August 28th. And what we've done is basically coordinate with the Parish Health Department, LDQ, the Louisiana Department of Health to really figure out how we can solve this problem and figure out what's going on. So first of all, I'd like to thank the port staff, Raymond Ferrier with the Plaquemines Parish Health Department, and Patrick Harvey with the EOC, Chief Robichaud with the Plaquemines Parish Fire Department, also with LDQ, Danny Odom, Brian Tusa, and with DHH, Melody Ransom, Colette Bradley, and Rosalind Green. So we had a meeting as of August 28th, and what we noted was the Friday before, LDQ had the Mobile Air Monitoring Lab, which is also called MAML. They came out to do site visits, and they monitored both sides of the river. And so what we decided was that they needed time to give us that report back. So we had a meeting on September 11th with the individuals that I mentioned before. And what we noted from LDQ that there were no indications that air quality was not in compliance. So everything was above board, and they did not notice any hazardous issues. So their conclusion that this may be some medical issue outside of any air quality issues. However, they still want to go back to Cooper Consolidated whenever there's a vessel in to use the mammal for more sampling. And I will have to say Cooper Consolidated has done a yeoman's job of being open and transparent and giving access to their information and assets so that LDQ can go on the site and figure out if there's any issues. So far, bottom line, LDQ has not heard anything from there. Now, with the results, I decided after our first meeting on September 11th that we would have another meeting. And so what has come about is that there's been no complaints since, there have been no complaints to the health department or LDQ since August 31st and September 1st. So over the last 2 weeks, there have been no complaints at all. DHH has received only one medical report by mail from a family which made a complaint. They did know that of all the complaints, all but one acknowledged there was some kind of odor. If they get more medical records, then they'll see if there's a trend. However, they doubt there necessarily will be. So from the port perspective, we decided to wait for LDQ to do more samples on the river, on both sides of the river. And we're looking at a mid-October meeting again to coordinate with all the representatives that I mentioned for one final understanding if there's anything that we can do. But everybody's been working well together. We've coordinated well. So I want to once again thank all those individuals. I also want to thank David Morgan for bringing this issue up for the parish, and I want to thank the leadership of the commissioners as well.
Thank you, Paul, and I want to thank you for a fine job that you've done. I know Raymond's did already too. Thank you as well, Raymond. But you took the lead on this and you didn't question it. Didn't have any issues with it, and you hit the ground running. And I think the whole community saw that, and we appreciate all the efforts for it. Do you have any comments or questions from the table? With none, Mr. Roussel.
I just want to thank you as well because you were on the spot with it and the report was accurate and efficient. So we were well briefed. Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? With none, we'll move to item 8, approval of the August 24th, 2017 minutes. Mr. Burt offers, Mr. Roussel seconds. Slow, Joe. Okay, can we open the machine for a little bit? And the minutes of August 24th, 2017 passed 9-0. Mr. Edgecombe would like to offer a motion to adjourn. Offered by Mr. Edgecombe, seconded by Mr. Roussel. Open the machine. Give him the hand. Adjournment passes a vote of 9-0. The court meeting is adjourned at 2:05. Thank you.